Okay. So I made some big strides. Definitely a big shout out to everybody in the Discord who pushed me to go back to the drawing board and try and improve on some of the things I was doing wrong because definitely made some breakthroughs and I think we got a pretty solid workflow now. So I'm going to demonstrate that, and this may be a slightly longer video because I don't know how long it's going to take. We'll see. I've gotten through two of these very consistently, but it took a really long time to get through the first one. Second one went much quicker, but still had a few things to fix. Hopefully, I've worked out all the kinks. But in fact, it's going to even build this whole website for me for each person that I add automatically. And so you can kind of see I've got pretty good consistency here. The animations are infinitely better than when I first started out. Um, and you can see this is in-game. This is the full resolution version. And this is their background picture. We got it all sorted. And so theoretically, it's all going to work really well now. And just to kind of show you here, we've already got those two in here, and they should be right in here, although I didn't even double check before I started. So let's, yeah, looks good. Everything looks okay to me. Um, and just while we're in here, I mean, if you go back and you look at like Ulysses, how bad that is in comparison to where I'm at now. Really is a pretty significant improvement. And this Vic test was just me figuring everything out. But yeah, even if you go back, you look at a guy like Killian, like his blink's not bad. It's not the worst mouth I've ever seen, but yeah, I mean, it's just such an enormous difference to where we're at now. Um, and there's Cassidy. Let's see, he's doing good, and they all work with sun goggles too. If you put sun goggles on them, I don't know who has sun goggles, who starts with them, but sun goggles do look good on them. I do a sun goggle test as part of the flow just to make sure, which I guess we'll see right now because Sulik is still in the old version in there, um, which I guess I didn't click on, but anyway. So we're gonna say is Sulik up next. I'm pretty sure he is in the roster. He's gonna check the roster. If he's not, I'm probably gonna do him anyway because I consider them to be the Trinity. Um, Vic and Cassidy and Sulik. I want everybody to like kind of look like they look. And that was my crew in Fallout 2, which is probably my favorite Fallout. Um, I know a lot of people prefer one. Well, a lot of people prefer probably three or four, but uh, definitely two is my favorite. One is my second favorite. New Vegas third favorite. Then four. Then three. Uh, not a huge fan of three, but it was nice to see, another Fallout game. So better than nothing. I say that, but I think Brotherhood of Steel is probably nothing might have been better than that. Not that I've ever played it, so maybe I haven't given it a chance, but I don't think it deserves a chance. All right, so here we go. Sulik's config is already there. That's obviously already the game from my first run through. So all stats, bio, everything is there. But we got to give them start fresh. So it's just asking me if we want to go with the old one. It was doing its checks, see what we're missing. So we're going to start fresh. And it's going to start to work through the workflow now. Um, so I've got, the prompts is already set up. Theoretically, Like, yeah, see, it's saying right there, does Sulik have a canonical Fallout 2 talking head frame that we should extract as a reference? So I've got obviously original Fallout 2 installed on my computer, as well as the restoration project, and then the expanded talking heads for the restoration project. So I'm going to try and use those talking heads as part of it, and it's going to pull that into our review process. And then once I get through all the Fallout 2 people, do the similar thing with the wikis for those characters. Although I suppose I should probably just get the game files for them too. I have them on my computer, so maybe I'll change that when I get there. Let's see if it's going to find it. Oh man, it's really figuring it out too. Like at first it checked to see if he was in the base game. It wasn't. Checked the RPU, didn't see him there. Then checked the Talking Heads add-on. So now, oh yeah, it is from the base game. What am I thinking? My brain is dead right now. I'm tired as hell. So now it's got extracted from the master dat. Whoa, wait, why is it out of scope? It's supposed to. Yep. So here we go now. It'll actually do that. Which I thought it was going to do that already, but maybe I didn't update that rule. This is, I think, the first one that actually comes from the original game that I've done, so maybe I didn't. I think that's probably just what Myron and Marcus. Well, there we go. It's doing some heavy thinking right now as it tries to extract it. Um, which there wasn't an existing Python script for extracting the DAT files, but I guess it wasn't too complicated because it managed to figure out how to do it, and it's already done it for Vic and Cassidy. Although it's not in here in their website. I don't know if I should add it in there or not. Not sure how the copyright works on that, to be honest with you. And I mean, realistically, I could just point it to the wiki for this, but I already had the files on my computer, and I figured that way um, you can get like the different faces they're making too if you want, because I think they all have like an angry, neutral, and happy face that you can pick from. And then also because I couldn't find the wiki photos or really any photo online for like some of the RPU ones in the expansion. Um, Best I could find was a YouTube video, and I don't even think it had every single one. This is taking a little bit longer than expected, I think, because I had to give it some new instructions there and update its rules for something slightly different than it's used to, which always takes a little bit longer. But it's really, yeah, I'm not necessarily a huge AI guy. I just started using this not too long ago for work and kind of went down a rabbit hole. Um, because I have absolutely no artistic talent whatsoever. and limited programming ability. But I really like these old games, and been playing a lot of Jagged Alliance lately, and a lot of Fallout lately. I've been playing all the mods, and just really thought, man, I'd really like to, add more to the community, and make my own mod, but I just never had the skill set for it. But with Antigravity, I feel like I've got it. So canonical Fallout 2 reference here. Um, Extracted it, neutral one, which is what I told it to default to. Um, and so we get a good picture of Sulik here. And then this is my benchmark comparison. And the reason that I do this is because I need to make sure that it stays consistent. I really, keep a very consistent look and feel. I don't want to be all over the place. That was one of the problems that I had on my first run through. When I went back and I looked at it, I was like, just looks like 20 different art styles. Really hard to keep it unified. So I think I'm doing a lot better with these two, and with this method, I think it'll help a lot. Gives me some information about them here, um, but I'm definitely not happy with that. Not very good. Um, so I usually tell it we got to make sure that we keep the style, because like the style that it's got there is pretty solid. I think it's kind of hard to tell because he's got a lot darker skin, but this like the way that it's kind of like rasterized and they've got the dithering on it, and the shadows on it looks, the style of the kind of like 1990s CRPG style there is pretty solid. Um, so like specifically, there's I think that's called a pauldron. And obviously missing Grampy Bone, which is very important. Um, which is interesting because I actually have like I'll even show you while that's running. I have a pretty good, like I was happy with Sulik actually, like how accurate it was. Although it did take me a couple revisions to get there. Uh, where is he? So we can see the before and after. I mean, that's not bad for Sulik. Um, but yeah, look at that. I just said I was gonna come back. I just said I knew it was gonna work. It's fine. So it's gonna be a lot better this time, I think. Also, I think I might be realizing right now for the first time, or at least realizing again for the first time, that those are like gauged earrings and not an extension of the bone sticking through his nose. Maybe it's more obvious when it's animated in the game and I've noticed it, but I feel like for right now, I'm just now noticing that. That is a lot better. His skin is not that dark, one. And he doesn't have a mohawk. That's a tattoo. I think even though there's no leather, um, I'm just gonna say it that way. I think the nose is probably off, or the Grampy bone in his nose is probably off too, and obviously the background is white, but I'm hoping that it just kind of catches it here. We'll see what happens. I'll mess around with it a little bit. Obviously, the bone is a little bit too Flintstones right there, but I don't know how. Some things are kind of hard to get right. Um, like it has a very strong preference to want to make the bone through the nose that way, I think. But I've also gotten some of these surprisingly good on it after a couple of revisions. And you can see the way the workflow is set up here. You know, it's given us the changes from each one and comparison and everything. So here's our next one. Brought his skin tone in line a little bit more. I think that's a little more accurate. I think his forehead tattoo is worse. That necklace is perfect though. I feel like the bone is perfect. Okay, so give it all of those fun little updates there. And now it's going to try and run through that and and make those changes that we need. Let me see if we can zero it in. It's going to be interesting too because some of these features can sometimes make it a lot more difficult to maintain when you're going, like the more complexity there is when you go to try and like start animating it. I'm wondering if he's going to really be a pain. Um, the others were really easy to animate actually once I got the right workflow. Um, but I'm a little bit worried about Sulik just because if you compare him to Vic or Cassidy right now, like he has a lot more complexity to him. He's also got the wrong size head, but once I lock it in right, I'm trying to fix that. Or it might just get fixed in one of these regenerations anyway. I'm not gonna sweat it too much. Well, you know, that's not bad. It's a little bit avatarish. Being like a perfectionist here, but So see if I'll see if some of those changes will come through, and then like once you get some of those things right, like obviously still head size is wrong. It gave me a white background, and now it's got like it's like too rasterized, too saturated kind of look to it. I get this fairly often. This is probably the other most common kind of look it throws at you. It's somewhere between this one and this one. You can see, like, depending on what you do with their skin, like Cassidy's even a little bit more saturated than Vic, but I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that Cassidy has very different skin type than Vic, and that's one of the reasons that I want to use them as my benchmarks. Vic has got like he's a very soft indoor guy. He's fat, so his skin is real smooth and not very wrinkled, except on the forehead and around the eyes. Whereas Cassidy is, outdoor wasteland guy, weather beaten, all that fun stuff. Uh, this is not bad. The pauldron switch sides. You got to kind of like, pick your battles sometimes, though. Doesn't have to be 100% perfect. As long as we can get it most of the way. Um, um, like I said, this is one of the more complex ones. You look at how much easier Vic and Cassidy were just in terms of complexity than this. I mean, it's like a perfect canonical match for what was in their talking head, except I didn't put the plate in Cassidy's head. Um, I guess I should have. I just didn't. I don't ever really like have him with a plate in his head from Fallout 2. Um, so for whatever reason, I just don't have him in my head as having a plate. And I didn't feel like doing it, but it'd be kind of weird that he's the only one that doesn't have it quite perfect. But still, I'm also doing this thing, and I haven't done it for Sulik yet, but like I did Dom DeLuise for Vic, and then I did Clint Eastwood for Cassidy. So I'm just trying like a very low weighting because I find it kind of one. I think it fits the kind of Jagged Alliance theme where you have like steroid as Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that stuff. But two, I think it just helps the image generator kind of lock in on certain traits. Um, and I think it just works. I always kind of saw Vic as like a Dom DeLuise type. All right, so now he's trying to figure out and look at all the different versions, go back, make sure that we're doing it the right way. We'll get there eventually. But like I said, this might be a longer video, and I apologize if I stop talking. I'm not kind of hard to narrate sometimes when you're also thinking. Eh, well, this is not bad. So, see what it comes up with this time. He's not doing a great job with his face either, and that's where I kind of want to give him uh, a little bit of. Uh, I feel like if I give that a little bit more weight, that'll help. But see, it's done a pretty good job with the face there, the face tattoo. I mean, not that one, but this one. It's like pretty much perfect, except his eyes aren't black. So that should be more black, and it's missing the head part there. Yeah, I don't think he looks like Keith Flint. Oh, oh my, there it is. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect. In fact, I think I gotta fuck with it still. 99% perfect, but we are not zoomed in. Just thinking of anything else that I gotta change. But we did it. I mean, I know I could bring that line up there a little bit. I don't know how much of a perfectionist I feel like being. Some spelling errors, grammar errors in there, I guess. But anyway, um, while that's running, shouldn't take too long to figure it out. But Basically, you can see that even with this process, if you're picky about it and you want to get it right and do everything the exact right way, then it still takes a little bit of time to kind of do these things. But when I think about how long it must take to have like done it manually, not even think about all the time it take to learn how to do all those things, but to actually do it yourself, even once you knew how to do all those things, it's wild. Um, it's also crazy how much things have changed because I remember messing around with Stable Diffusion when it first came out and put it on my computer just to see what it could do and being like, oh, cool, it's fun to make these weird little monstrosities. And, my kids were having fun with it and stuff, but this is something different. I think the shadow is a bit much. You shorten the line now. Tiny bit shorter. I think the I think hopefully one more revision. I didn't make it in time. Uh, 90% 109, and then regenerate 110, but 109 might be satisfactory. Maybe. Whoop. Oh, capacity hit. Haven't seen that one before. Hey, actually, I don't even know if I have to do it. I think that might be good. Guess I'll let it finish at this point. See which one I like better, but I'm willing to settle at this point. I don't know. Is that it might be hard to animate. I might hate myself for this. I feel like every time we animate this, something's gonna disappear. There's so many things on there, and they're so specific. I think one of the biggest problems that I have with this is like I got through the first 40 or whatever characters, and by the time I got to the end, I was like, man, I've learned so much. I kind of want to start over. And I started over, and I got through like 5 characters, and I was like, man, I learned so much. I want to start over, and that's where I am right now on my third character, having started over for the third time. But I mean, it's a lot better now, so I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I didn't get to 40 before I started over the second time. Oh, that's too zoomed. Um, yeah, I'll keep this going. However long it takes. Like I said, I'm just gonna record this one and upload it so people can see, um, you know, the problems that there are with it as well as the successes, I guess. Um, Still pretty cool how it works, I think. And like I said, it just kind of blows my mind that it can build the website for you too at the same time, just in a matter of seconds. And it doesn't even require like a enormous amount of input. It's pretty minimal input for the website. Although, I mean, I already built like a bunch of websites with it, so it's got my style down at this point. Definitely didn't start out with the style, and there's still a lot of problems with it. Like you can see different sidebars here. I mean, I fixed that with a Python script and go through and fix them all. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's on my list of things to do, but it's more for just keeping track of things than anything else. There we go. That's pretty solid. Uh, yeah, I just wanna. I still feel like his head is too small. Even when you zoom in on it, I think it might be. I guess it's less of a problem when you zoom in on it, though. Maybe that'll help him though. Sometimes you give them the math and they figure it out after like we're on version 11 here. I think the highest I've ever gotten was 20 something, and that was pretty early on. Vic took maybe 3 or 4. Might have actually been 5 because I had to add his mustache in. Because I didn't really think of Vic as a guy with a mustache either, but I was like, I'll take that one because I thought it looked good with the Dom DeLuise look. I guess Sulik's gonna have real smooth skin, even though that doesn't make a ton of sense because he's gonna be outside a lot. But I don't know, maybe black don't crack, and then like just the fact of he's young, he's a pretty young dude. Like he's supposed to be like what 18 or 19 or something. His nose is pretty red in that too, though. Makes him look like an alcoholic. But I guess that's his backstory, right? Like he gets drunk and smashes stuff up. That's how he owes money, isn't it? Anyhow, anti-gravity is really a pretty powerful tool, and you can see Claude Opus, by the way, is probably killing my credits right now, but it's so much better than Gemini is. It's like hilariously better. Um, I was getting extremely frustrated with Gemini when I was trying to figure out the workflow for animation, which is honestly the part that I would most want to show off here, and not able to get to it because I picked uh, I picked Sulik. Nope. The zoom is great, so is the style, but you broke Grampy Bone. Yeah, like I wish if it could just I really hope this is the last one. I'm getting annoyed. But if if it could just basically smash the last two together, it'd be pretty much perfect. That's exactly what I want. Um, oh geez, didn't mean to do that. If it could just give me that version 112 where it had all of the items and tattoos and everything was exactly right on this face at that size head, then it will be perfect. You can see how much it's adding to, and that's the regeneration of the original portrait, which is like a massive prompt, but blows my mind that it can make it work. But like I said, this is why I'm really worried about trying to animate this and thinking uh, uh, maybe this video never sees the light of day because I give up and don't make it so complex because the animation drives me slowly insane. Although if you're willing to put the time into it, you can make it perfect, but you'll have to regenerate it, and then each of the animations so close but so far. Just these minor little details. I don't even care about the earrings. I'll take the earrings like that. That's like close enough as far as I'm concerned to the earrings. Um, but Grampy Bone has to be right. We had it right before. His face was a little bit better, like a little bit more accurate to Sulik before too. But I think this fits the Jagged Alliance style more, and I'm gonna err on that side of things when I have to choose between the two, especially if to make it stylistically match. So now it's regenerating the script. It's copying them from the second reference exactly. But yeah, I probably have to redo some of this other stuff over here too. But I've tried to lay it out if people want to follow along, like if anybody wants to make their own. Oh, all right. Well, it's including that one. But sometimes you have to ask it. Um, so perfect in there. But yeah, it's just this. It's how this image and generation works. Oh no, it's losing its mind. It's not going to be able to do that. No. That's not a good solution. Sometimes it has bad ideas. This is one of them. Anyway, well, I was trying to do that. You know, put up on my website, like a lot of the problems that I've run into, and how to fix certain things. I think one of the things that helped me a lot was getting the actual statistical models and like the math for all of the existing portraits that are out there. Let me fix this real quick. Um, the only downside to what I'm about to do is it's going to break our workflow a little bit, which can make it get a little bit funky. Everything that we're doing right now is part of a workflow that is well defined for it, and now I'm going to break that workflow and tell it to regenerate 3 pictures at a time. Um, we'll see if this works. It's trying to merge different photos, and it's never easy for it. But I feel like just using this as the reference photo and then generating a couple should make it work. But yeah, I even did like some masks to kind of like that's how I helped kind of figure out the prompts for this, or helped it figure out the prompts for it. I don't really like. You know what? Head is not big enough, right? Uh, so yeah, um, getting it to lock in on that. I fed it, um, some of these masks that I made. This is the 1.13 average, and then this is the vanilla roster average. I gave it all the measurements. It's gonna give me some mumbo jumbo. I just wanted to regenerate it again. But I think being picky here is important. Like again, there's no point in not matching the style. It'll look dumb when they're all next to each other in a squad, and one of them looks like it's from a completely different game. And again, I think you can get away with like some minor differences based on the skin color and the type of skin that they have, just just wrinkled or scarred or whatever. Whether it's very pale or very dark or mottled or any of that is gonna allow for some differences. But even still, Sulik's probably a little too smooth, a little too computer graphicy when these guys are just slightly more pixely. Um, I'm gonna let it try this mumbo jumbo. It seems that it wants to take this version, upscale it, then use that as the reference photo, or does it actually want me to use that? I don't know how I feel about actually using that. I think it's using it as a reference photo. Hmm. Well, you know, pretty maybe, maybe. if he cropped it down from 1024 by 10. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Just making sure you didn't lie to me. Okay, good. I think we got. I think you gotta be happy with that. I think I'm happy. Let's see some. What's the next step? I don't. I don't feel like. I don't want to tell it what to do. I want it to go back to its workflow. That's another thing I know. Sometimes, like, I'll tell it to do something and it'll be literal about it instead of me just being like, "Okay, go back to your workflow." All right. Well, now it's gonna do that. And I'm gonna stand up and get some water. I got my wireless headset on. If you hear some stuff, you'll just have to deal with it. Not that probably anybody is even gonna listen to this, because there are about 20 people who play this game. Actually, I think it's about 200 and something, but still. Of them, one might watch this, and they ain't watching the whole thing. But that's cool because I'm having a really good time learning how to do this stuff. And again, I just never thought I'd really be able to make a mod, and now I feel like I probably can. So that's cool. I put way more of my time into this than I thought I would. And so now it's going to do a couple of things that I like to do. First of all, if the workflow has gone correctly, the sunglasses test that's about to run is going to work, and the sunglasses will fit him. Ooh, but excuse me. Looks like what I'm using here, media pipe, can't detect the face. So normally it would detect the face and do that for me. Now I wonder if it's going to be accurate. Although eyeballing it, it looks reasonably okay. But I probably shouldn't eyeball it. So Pillow is what it uses for image manipulation and measurement, that kind of stuff. Just running that Python script. Now it's trying some other face detection that I have already. Various, free libraries that I downloaded at one point or another as I went through various iterations of these workflows. But you can see how it landed on it pretty much perfect. I mean, I'd say, if I was going to nitpick it, and it's late tonight and I'm probably about ready for bed, but if I was going to nitpick it, I'd have made that slightly shorter and more pointed, and I'd have tried to better match the skin tone, I think. Or, I don't know, whatever. Skin smoothness? I don't know what to call it. Whatever it is. I'd have tried to match it a little bit better, art style. So now it's doing a lot of cropping and testing, um, looking at the different files that it's generating, see how it's doing. But you can see it does all this work without me. Now, uh, I had to go through a lot of trial and error and, make it memorize rules, build out exceptions, and do a bunch of mumbo jumbo. But, now theoretically it's going to manage on its own for the most part, other than, I have to approve it and point it in the right direction with image generation a good bit still, obviously. Although, again, the more complex it is, then, I was trying to get like 9 items where you had like two face tattoos, Grampy Bone, the earrings, the necklace, the pauldron, and the chest tattoos. And we're trying to juggle all that plus, the style and the head size and, everything. So hoping the cropping on this one is going to work out without causing any problems, because a lot of times I'll make like a minor sacrifice and then I'll get to some other step and realize that that minor sacrifice caused a problem there. I'm hoping that doesn't happen this time, but looks like it's fixing its stuff on its own. I don't really feel like clicking on it right now. I usually pay closer attention to it, but like I said, I'm kind of tired. But I really want to get this one working because, like I said, I feel like the workflow now is solid. This workflow has gone really, really well despite the 17 variations it took to get Sulik locked in. Again, I think he's probably the hardest one I've done so far, and I want to say he might be the hardest one that I've got to do. Like, I can't think of anybody who's got a more complex. Like, I'm not doing Hakunin. All right, maybe I should do Hakunin though. Now that I think about that, that's a good note. I should probably do anybody who's got voice lines actually, because that makes my life easier. But Cassidy doesn't have any. Although I think he does. Actually, he does in. I think he probably does in one of the RPU expansions, which I'll give them a try and take whatever voice lines they got too. I consider. I mean, I know maybe not canon. Maybe that's not the right word. But I really like the RPU. I always play with it nowadays. Did you do the goggles test? Oh, there it is. That's hilarious. Um, I can't tell if that's 1 or 2 pixels, but I think it's two. Um, and I know they kind of are going to look a little bit dumb anyway, but I didn't make the goggles. Number one, those are the default Jagged Alliance goggles, and I think generally they look good within the style. Look probably a little bit goofy on these to some degree, just because the style's probably mashing up more. Because I'm not matching the Jagged Alliance style perfectly. I'm definitely in the ballpark though, and mashing it up with Fallout a little bit, so it's gonna work. See now these are obviously being displayed at the actual pixel value size too, because it needs to be for it to be accurate. And it means that I can put in other face gear and have it work. And the 2 pixel adjustment that I'm doing there is actually just an adjustment that it's making to the eye values. So each of those sun goggles is basically like a bunch of different frames, and each one of those frames corresponds to a character to know where to place it on his face. So in game, it will work. When you put on the sun goggles, he'll wear sun goggles. When you put on the gas mask, he'll wear a gas mask. All that fun stuff. I have no idea how the gas mask is going to work with Grampy Bone. Probably it'll just write over it. I don't know. I think it should probably be 1 pixel to the left, but I'm gonna leave it. I'm not sure, and I don't want to regenerate it again. All right, now theoretically, what it's going to do is it's going to take the close cropped version that we've got, which is like right here, and it's gonna, although I think it's gonna take a higher resolution version of it, hopefully, but it's gonna take the higher resolution version of the close crop. That's what it's supposed to do, and then it's going to now generate the animations that I'm looking for off of that. And it's got instructions on how to do those animations, which took a lot of work to get working. But this part was literally like I ran it with Cassidy after making it, get into work with Vic, which took a while. Um, but then once I ran it with Cassidy, I had one alteration for Cassidy, which is that the wide mouth one. I said that's his mouth's not wide enough, make it wider. Regenerated a version 2, and I was good to go. Now maybe I've gotten lucky, and again, the complexity here is going to be hard because in the earlier runs that I was doing with Vic, one of the things that it had trouble with was like, oh, like this one has a mustache, this one doesn't have a mustache. It was good otherwise, but just sometimes be missing a feature or hallucinating a feature on one of the frames. So you have to regenerate one of the frames sometimes. Um, and so what it's going to do is it's going to give me like a very specific output here if it does everything correctly in my preview panel. And it's going to lay it all out for me the way that I want so that I can really see here's each of the frames and what they look like, and then here's what it looks like put together at both a high resolution so you can kind of see more clearly what everything's doing, and at a low resolution, like the actual resolution that's going to display in the game, so you can see like, okay, does it look right at that resolution as well? Because sometimes when you scale stuff down, it's doing nearest pixel scaling, and it's doing a direct like ratio scale, so it's actual pixel to pixel. Oh, is that the half blink? Okay, yeah. So this is like a half blink. Oops, wrong one. There's a half blink right here, and then that's the full blink, and you can see it just kept everything the way it's supposed to. So that looks good. And then, oops, mouth frame wise, we got slightly open, and then we got mid open, which there is a little bit. You can see there's some very light, like in the forehead change there, but it's not bad. There's middle, and then full. So I think that's good. Where's the animation test? And so the animation test GIF, I think maybe it's going to tell me I have to load it into the game first before I do that, but I don't know if that's accurate. I don't think it is. Yeah. So this is in its KI, which is its memory, and somehow it missed it anyway, which it does every once in a while. It's usually pretty good at the stuff in its memory, especially Claude, but not always. Um, but yeah, like so now it's gonna build the GIF out of all the frames of this, and it's actually gonna build it is gonna be like a the GIF is gonna be better than it'll actually be in game, um, because the GIF actually adds more frames than the game will allow. Um, well, I might have fixed that. I don't remember if I fixed it, so I guess we'll find out because it looks like I fixed it in the website there. They look identical to me. Um, but in the game, it just gives you like it won't look exactly like that in the game either, actually. Because in the game it just goes between the different frames, whereas this one is like adding additional frames. But that looks really good. I think that looks really good. And this is what'll go on the website. Yeah, I'm happy with this. I might maybe come back to the drawing board at one point just to try and make him really, really perfect with the style if he sticks out at the end. But not tonight, and I need some more feedback for that. Because I really need some other people's opinions. I get a little bit inside my own head sometimes. Like, that might be good enough. I don't want to be too much of a perfectionist, especially considering that I got another, like 100 of these guys to go. And then that's like 20% of the mod out of the way. Um, and probably theoretically the easiest 20%, I guess. Or maybe like, I don't know. I guess some of the item stuff that I plan to do is probably easier. And that's a good chunk. But um, I've got a good bit of work ahead of me. Um, just let this finish up here. If I actually end up doing everything that I say I'm gonna do. See. So you can see there's a very in-depth conversion plan here, and it contains, some of those, like a lot of the details for the prompts for the portraits, um, and just various facts and information that I just need to make sure it doesn't forget about, like how things work, sprite sheet editing, things like that, um, checklists for workflows. And you see here's more aesthetic principles for items and everything like that. I've given it very specific aesthetic principles for each set, but oh, there we go. Okay, so it's giving me everything, telling me we did it all right. And now it's going to deploy the website. And while it's doing that, theoretically everything is now in the game according to this. They checked me in. Here's Sulik. Let's see if it actually works. Oh my goodness, it did. There he is. Nice Sulik. Very nice. And now I think we're good to go. I mean, all I gotta do is inventory. Um, a little bit better than this, but and I gotta come back and do, like, I'm gonna do a stat rehaul um, at one point for sure. Uh, but I think I just look at him next to Vic. I mean, I don't think he looks out of the style necessarily. I don't know. I'm not super super happy with the skin tone and how it turned out. I wish it was more in the art style, like it's a little bit better. But overall pretty solid. Now it's gonna finish building my website here. This is just the local one, but because I told it not to upload to FTP every time because it's massive waste of bandwidth otherwise. Um, but it'll upload the FTP for me as well. And then we'll be done here with Sulik, and we'll move on to the next one in our roster. Um, which I think I'll just end this video for anyone who's actually stuck around with what my overall plan is. Um, while this finishes up. Uh, so you can see here, just again, more of the special conversion, how I'm converting the stats, doing a lot of programmatic stuff to kind of come up with the initial stats and traits and stuff like that, which is just a first pass too. Because I'm actually going to come through and implement a tagging system in the second phase to do a second pass on all the stats. Um, so I've got like the mathematical averages of everybody for my stat balancing figured out here, where I got all of everybody's stats. Um, and I'm going to apply tags like if you're human, then, you'll get plus minus this. If you're a mutant, you'll get plus minus this. Ghouls get plus minus, etc. And then I'll apply that within certain rules of min and max, and they, kind of give you the dollar per stat ratio. Like I'll stick to that dollar per stat ratio, which is basically one stat point is about $1.90 a day, um, and stat or skill point for that matter. So, um, but yeah, it does some conversions there, and we get to kind of figure out some of their stats. There's a lot of stuff about the optical tracking that we use, and just like the default descriptions for the animation sidecar. Just kind of describing, again, based on like the Jagged Alliance, just analyzing a lot of those portraits, animations. I made GIFs of all of them and just had to analyze it to create some prompts to help match up, like, those mouth opening movements and stuff. Um, and then, this is where it's just explaining some of the, configurations for the JSON for the like I said, you know, how it's displaying some of these things to me in terms of the groupings for the XML data and everything. Like, looks like this is done now. Oh no, it's still going. My bad. Um, but yeah, if we go back to see Daisy. There we go. Now it's finishing up. Maybe it'll stop bogging down my computer for a second. Okay, and there we go. Now we got Sulik, Tribal Warrior. And you can see it's already got all my versions in here. It's got everything you need. Each of the frames messed up. Didn't load all his compiled assets like it's supposed to. So I'll have to fix that. It's got his stats in here. All his details and information. Actual XML config. Pretty solid. And yeah, so like I said, just oh my God, it's still going. Oh, it's got to update my roster. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Can you shut up now? God, I don't even know why it's lagging at this point. It's not like doing anything complicated. I think I probably have to reboot my computer at this point. I think I have like some background stuff running that's bogging me down. Probably like 16 instances of stable diffusion or something. Here's two. Well, anyway. Um, yeah, so just for those of you who stuck around or anybody who's actually looking at this, just take you through this last little bit of my plan here. Um, yeah, He's a little bit off, but he's a weirdo, so he's gonna be a little bit off, I guess. I'll just see how it goes. And if I get to the end and he's the only guy who looks like a weirdo, I'll come back to it. But I'm gonna replace the entire AIM roster. So there's 40 people in AIM. You got all the original AIM people on the left and the new people that I'm gonna put in on the right. Mostly focused on Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas, but there are Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 people in as well, just because there's so many people that we got to include them to fill everybody out. Then I got my Merc roster, which is going to be the Mutant Evolutionary Recruitment Center. So everybody that you recruit from Merc is going to be a mutant, or at least most of them will be. Although I know like a lot of the extra slots I think show up in Merc, so we'll see how that goes. These are also probably going to be the most annoying ones to try and figure out, just like Sulik is. I bet they're going to be kind of a nightmare. So those will be fun ones. Sulik might as well be a mutant in that respect. Then these are all the XML files that I plan to, change. Um, Obviously, like, simple things like enemy names and civilian group names. Disease. I want to, add radiation sickness, school fever, mutant plague. I can also use it to simulate addiction and withdrawal and stuff like that. So, like when you use certain drugs, it might give you a chance to attract a disease, which is going to be an addiction disease. Upgrade the vehicles. I want to rename it Highwayman Vertibird. I think I want to try and reskin the Highwayman, but we'll see. Um, Gonna put in new face gear. Definitely gonna go and add the Texas Ranger gas mask for Tycho, if nothing else. Probably some custom sunglasses for Boone and some of the others to kind of capture their canonical look. Fantastic. We'll need a very specific set of sunglasses, most likely. Um, I'm gonna do the email system, everything, all this stuff. This is all XML, so it's like fairly like trivial to update, really. So I'm just gonna like update everything within the XML. I'm gonna definitely want to reskin. Like I'm not gonna reskin all the weapons. That's really pointless. But I might reskin a couple of weapons or add in a couple new weapons to capture some classic Fallout weapons that don't exist. And then all of the energy weapons presumably will need to be added. Um, and I'll have to kind of reskin some of the drugs and stuff like that to make them Fallout drugs, reskin and probably add some armors and such. I'm gonna update and add some new merges for sure. So a lot of XML work. I feel really comfortable with that, and with anti-gravity, making it go even faster. I could do that on my own without anti-gravity. So with it, like, feels super super easy and trivial to do all that. So I feel really confident I'll get all that done. And then at the end, that's where we're going to come back and I'm going to do the phase one polish. So retouch a lot of the assets. Hey, anything that I not super perfectly happy with, like maybe Sulik here, I might come back and retouch a little bit. And then the programmatic stat enforcement that I talked about, defining tags and assigning them and everything. Then phase two is all the item art and XML stuff that I talked about. So, here's examples of some of the ones that I have to, add in or swap out because they don't exist. Classic Blade Runner pistol, have to add that in for sure. Items that need a rename versus, I can just rename some existing items that are already pretty much a match versus those that require new art. Um, Renaming some of the shields, changing some of the shields to look different. Some additional items that I have to add in. And then this is where phase two ends, and this is where I say I feel really comfortable. I'm definitely going to get this far. I'm going to do this at approximately the level of quality that you're seeing here. Maybe a little bit better, as I do feel like I'm learning a lot as I go. The rest of this I don't know about, but if I'm still having fun and enjoying myself, which right now I'm really having a great time, super sucked into this rabbit hole, then I'll keep going, and I'm gonna do the completely new maps from scratch. I'm gonna go in and build new maps. I'll probably build some new artifacts and stuff for the maps. With this, it seems pretty confident that it's capable of doing that. But then it can't use the editor, so I'd have to manually place those, and I'm not great at that kind of thing. I have not messed around with the editor at all, so that's something where you know we'll see how it goes. And definitely, if anybody's interested in helping, um, would uh, would love some help with that part because that's very much not my area of expertise. And then got to replace all the RPCs, NPCs. This this would be something that I could at least rename them and reskin them, even if I didn't go through with the full on changes. But it's listed here because they have actual map coordinates and presumably would move where they are potentially. So um, I've listed out who everybody would switch over to, and there may be some changes here. A lot of this, is just kind of like my first pass to get some kind of idea. And then now we get to phase four, and phase four is the really like this. All this, doing the map is still super achievable. Like I'm definitely capable of it. It's just a question of will I put the time and effort into it. Now we're getting to the area where I don't know if I'm capable of it at all, or that it's something that I could even do with anti-gravity. So, for example, changing the poison system into a radiation system. It does feel like that's on one of the easier things that we can do from the C++ side, but it's something that I want to do. Instituting some kind of Fallout perk system. There's already a skill trait system, which has like 30 slots, I guess. But that's not a lot. I'd like to actually go beyond that. I don't know if that's possible. But I'd really like to add the slots in, and then to take it even a step further, I'd really like it to get to the point where if you hit a level, an experience level, you go from level 1 to level 2, you actually get some kind of dialogue that pops up and lets you pick a perk. But obviously, that is, I know a lot. And then six, doing all the enemy factions, AI and creature framework. I did think that there was some really like easy opportunities that there are for like just how things already work. Using some of the existing stuff that's there. Robots can be the sentry bot, rad scorpions can be crepitus, death claws can be blood cats. You can use the same AI. I can just reskin them a little bit. Might not even need to reskin super mutants or feral ghouls. We just use some of the existing stuff that's in there to kind of reconstitute them without too much work. Make sure I've got the different factions in there and they are actually, have different AI and different equipment and different stats. And then, stretch goals and wish list. Can I get a karma system, vendor economy, drug addiction, Pip-Boy interface, radiation HUD indicator, grappling hook is just something I like. I like grappling hooks. There's no reason other than that. Um, Probably doesn't belong, but that's what's more Fallout than that. Putting something in that doesn't really belong because I felt like it. Uh, yeah, VAT style aim shots, bottle cap currency display, faction reputation tracking, companion morale events, skill books, jet addiction, power armor training, enclave signal detection. Um, Obviously, that's really, 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 wish list stretch goal stuff. Maybe if I learn a lot along the way about programming in C++, I'll do that. So it's probably the longest video I'll ever do. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.